You are now watching Face to Face, live from the CSL studio. Your host, Nesta Cann.
What's new? Well, I'm working on some new paintings. That's what I usually do. I'm working on new paintings, along with fashion shoots and dance shoots, mostly dance shoots. Because I have a vision called Art of Dance, and it focuses on ballerinas, mainly black ballerinas, but other ballerinas of color, but just to give them a stage, and just to bring a bigger audience to them. So I'm working on that. It's called Art of Dance. I've been working on that since 2013. I'm going to take it to another level next year and make it more visual than still photography. Like I said, I've been working on a lot of paintings. Also, I have my next exhibition will be in January in Brooklyn. I'll give more information as soon as I get more information about it. But my next solo exhibition will be in January, where I showcase paintings, photography, and I also have a ballerina performing live. So it'll be just like an all-inclusive experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did you get into painting, art?
When I was, I say about 4 years old.
Okay.
I just knew I had the skill to draw. I had the skill to draw, and it's something I really love. So I continued to do it, and I started painting when I was about 7. So it's just something that came naturally.
Right.
You know, yeah. And I just believed in it, and I followed through in it. So yeah, that's how it began. That's the birth of it.
Okay.
Yes.
I see you bought some goodies for us today.
Yes,
Check it
I
out.
did.
So you
Yes,
get
I
a chance, you could bring some
Yes.
of those.
All right, so one of the series that I'm working on right now, which is important for people to understand, is called Your Blood and Your Birth. And it's basically where you have flags of different countries, Caribbean countries, African countries. And I put the map of Africa on the flag to let people know that Africa is your blood. Right. Even though your birthplace is your country, Africa is your blood. So it ties everything together. So this is an example here. I don't know if I'm holding
Yeah,
this.
here we go. We're looking right there.
Yeah, there we go. So this is a very important flag.
Okay.
Dominican
You put it
Republic.
back. Yeah, you can talk about that more.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, excellent. Yeah, so I'll hold it there.
All right.
Yeah, Dominican Republic is very important.
All right.
Especially for people from this nation to know that their bloodline is African.
Right.
And I purposefully did this so they understand that. And there's a lot of Latinos that separate themselves from the African bloodline.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah.
Okay.
So this one in particular is very important to me. That's why I created it. But it's just an example of what I'm working on right now as a vision.
Right.
You know, it has to be understood.
Right. Push this a little bit more in the mic. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. All right, another one. Very important nation, Haiti.
You're right.
Of course, they have a very rich history, an important history.
Right.
So it was imperative for me to make this flag, this Haitian flag, with the map of Africa to connect.
Right.
And just remind people, you know, birthplace and bloodline is very important.
So you do all of this too, everything by hand and everything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Everything is done by hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is done by hand. It takes a while to dry because there's a lot of ink going on, and it's mostly acrylic on canvas.
Okay.
But yeah, very important.
Nice.
So that's the vision I'm working on right now.
All right.
Let me see. Then I can share with you that there's times I dream about art. Like I literally have dreams. So I was sleeping on my couch one day because I'm always tired from working so much. Fell asleep on my couch and I saw this in a dream.
Right.
And my thing is, everything is energy and vibrations.
Right.
And there's a lot of energy and vibration going through the face, leading into the hair.
Right.
And in my dream, I saw a light coming out of the mouth, and the light was in colors.
Right.
So as I dreamt it, I woke up and I started working on it immediately. But it's all about energy and vibration, and it runs through us from head to toe.
Right.
You know, from the flesh to the hair to the eyes, everything is there.
Yeah, when I first looked at it, I could definitely first see the thing coming out the mouth. It looks like a snake at first.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
Everyone's gonna, you know, when
yeah.
everyone looks at art, everyone
Yes,
looks at things
yes.
differently. So I see a snake and something coming out its mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's dope.
And there's no right or wrong.
Right,
with it,
right.
Because that's what I love about abstract. Is
Yeah.
Whatever you see
Yeah.
is what it is most of the time.
Right.
Yeah. So what else can I share with you here? It's another abstract. This is a very popular one. I did not see this in a dream, but it's just something I felt.
Okay.
Yeah, the red is a very strong color, which I love. I purposely did the backdrop with red on purpose, but then everything else just came.
Nice.
Everything else just flowed as I felt it. So people see many things out of this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know what I see. Usually I just paint and I move on. I move on to the next one.
Right.
So, but people really love this one. It's strong and they feel it. They see. Some people told me they see the ocean in here, and they see a lot. They see a lot more than I see or recognize. So yeah, that's just an example of some of the abstracts that I do. Let me see. All right, get to the very important stuff right now. Okay. So there's been a lot going on with a lot of black women and black children being kidnapped for organs. Right. Black males too, especially young. And what this addresses here is one of the main organs, the kidneys. Right. Right. So what you have here, you have two hands. You have a white hand and a black hand. Right. This young black schoolgirl, she has a backpack on. She represents a schoolgirl, and she represents innocence. Right. That's why her back is to the hands, you know. And what she's being grabbed at for, it's what's painted on the left-hand side of the canvas. Right. So it's very simple and straight to the point, and we have to pay more attention to protecting our children, but more importantly, don't allow yourself to be one of these hands here. And I didn't even recognize that was hands. I saw it there, but until you broke it down, now I know what it represents. But that's definitely dope. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's protecting innocence, man. Nice. You know. Yeah, that's very important. What else can I share with you? I have a lot of things here. Give me a second. Yeah, no problem. Yes. And then I'll just do random things that I like. For example, I like that one. This one is colorful. Thank you highly. Yes, flamingos. Yes, flamingos, right. Yes, I love flamingos. Yeah, when I went to Aruba, I saw a lot of flamingos. Yes. Very nice. Yes. Yes. I don't know what it is, but I wanted to do something retro, like an 80s feel with flamingos in it. So it's kind of like neon. I was aiming for neon. Yeah, it's called Flamingo Future. So it's just something about flamingos that attracts me. Right. And I wanted to do my part in showing that creatively. Okay. You know, but I like my art to be felt. I like vibrations. Right. So it's very important. Colors are very important because they bring different feelings and tones to you. Yeah. As you see them and as you feel them, colors are something you feel, which is very important. Yeah, it's like as soon as you brought that out, I automatically I like that because the colors. I guess I like more of the lively light colors instead of the dark ones. So. Yes. Yeah. So what does your art represent? My art represents freedom. Okay. Yeah, freedom, meaning there's no fear in you doing it. There's no limitation, and especially as an artist, is what you're here to do. It's your purpose. Right. You understand? But it represents freedom mostly. Just be free. Live freely. Sometimes when I'm creating, I don't even know what time of night it is, or time of day. I'm just going. I'm just going. So yeah, it represents freedom more than anything to me personally. Right. So you hit on one of the questions I was going to ask you. Do you put like certain messages inside your art every time, or just do you? Like, absolutely. Like the one with the organs and the kidnapped kids. Yes, it's very important because with art, no, you don't have someone standing up preaching to you about something. Right, right. So you would more pay attention. When someone preaches too much, it becomes mundane. It goes in one ear and out the next. But with art, there's no one beating you down with a message. The message is painted. Right. And you can digest it slowly. Right. So it gets across to people stronger and quicker than someone preaching to them. Right. They pay more attention, you know. So definitely that's the messages are very important to use art to send messages. Yes. Do you enjoy like sharing your art with people, or are you one of the artists that like to go unnoticed? Because there's some people who just like to just create art and just put it out there, and they don't want to be noticed, they want the attention. It's not. I believe. Yeah, you have. You can't separate it really, or. Well, to me, you have no choice but to share it with people. Right. You know, and you can't really separate yourself because you're spilling yourself onto the canvas. Right. You can physically separate yourself and not communicate with people too much. Yeah. But spiritually and vibrations, people feel that. So as much as you may not, because a lot of artists don't really, you know, they're very isolated at times. But yeah, I put it out there, and I think it's important to stay connected with people when you put it out there, because like I said, they see things you don't see, and you learn from them. And you learn things about yourself because you're spilling yourself out. Things you might not even see about yourself, you learn when people experience your art. So,
Yeah. Is there a specific art that you brought here that you're most proud of?
Not that I'm most proud of. I have pride in all of them, but like what I just shared is very important.
Yeah.
You know, some are more important than others. You know, they all have a level of importance because you're doing it in its freedom, but some have more of an importance than others. You know, but at the end of the day, you try to be as free as possible.
Right.
Yeah, you be yourself.
And how do you know when your work is done, when you've completed something? Do you know like when you have no more space on the canvas, or or has to be that feeling like, all right,
Yeah, it's that feeling like, it's done. Because there's times when you know when it's not done.
Yeah.
And sometimes I leave it. There's paintings I've left for like a year. I left it and come back to it with fresh ideas. Or you experience something within that year and you bring that back to the painting. So I definitely want it, because you just get that feeling like it's done. Even if you don't fill up a canvas and there's some negative space or open space left, you still feel like it's done.
Yeah.
And you leave that. You know, because anything more would defeat the purpose of it. Yeah. So it's a feeling. Speaking for me, it's a feeling like, it's done now.
Yeah.
It's done now. Don't force anything else.
Yeah. Because I've seen some crazy art that's been selling for like a lot of money. That's just like a splash.
Yeah.
Or dot. I'm like,
yeah.
So a person just put a splash on the canvas is done.
Yeah.
But how does a person get paid for that? Like, is it the name basically?
I don't know. You know, sometimes there's an organization behind you. It's advertising.
Oh, okay.
It's knowing the right people.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in the right crowd.
Right.
It all depends on that, because there's artists doing amazing things, but they're not selling as much as they want, and not as, you know, the value of the painting.
Right.
And it's because they may not be in the right crowd and know the right people or have the right representation as far as organization behind them.
Yeah.
But that's most of the knowledge I have. But at the end of the day, you could you could create that for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, continue to work, believe, pray, you know, meditate. Those things help you bring you to where you aim to be.
Right.
You know, and you have to see yourself there.
Right.
So at this point, you might be creating, you know, you pouring your heart out onto the canvas, and you feel like nobody's paying attention or it's not getting there, but you have to keep doing it.
How do you deal with those people? You know, sometimes you show them something and you could tell when someone's not really appreciative of your work, and you might tell them the price, and they're like, you want that much money for that? You know. So, but people understand what it takes, you know, to actually.
They don't. Well, I used to get upset, and then there was a time when I used to get upset and like, how dare you? Like, you would never go to
tell you what you're worth. Yeah.
Never go to Gucci and be like, oh well, bring that down $500. You would never do that. But what I understand is people are trained this way. Their brain is branded.
Right.
You know, so there's things they value and things they don't value. You know, and art is something I think is changing now. And it's becoming, people are seeing it more as a value. But how I deal with them, it's just an understanding I have. They're not taught to value this. Now what I do with my art is I shove it down their throat to make them value it. Yeah. And I explain to them, it's simple, and also in simple ways. The street that you walk on, the building you live in, an artist had to design that. So art is everywhere. Everywhere. Your computer, your phone.
Right.
It had to be designed, sketched, whether physically sketched or sketched on digital.
Right.
The artist had to create it. So art is everywhere. It's in everything. You know, and that flies over people's heads.
Oh, I never thought about it that way myself.
So I explain it in a most simple manner. So they don't know, and people say, oh yeah, you're right, you know. Somebody had to design that. Your car, your shoes, it had to be drawn out.
Right.
That's art.
Yeah.
So and that way that kind of reels them in. And then, you know, you start showing them the paintings and the photography, and you explain things, and then they look at it in a different light.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so you kind of like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So how do you get into your zone? You know, some people, like I said, some people might meditate, some people might smoke a little ganja, you know.
Yeah.
Some people some people drink, you know.
Yeah.
How do you get into your, if you don't mind, you know.
Nah, this is a good question. I don't have a specific way, but for me, once I start creating, this is how I get into the zone. Once I start creating, let's say it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm going. There's times I painted for 14, 15 hours straight.
Wow.
That's how I get into my zone. Continuous creation. Because it's like a cycle of fueling. It just fuels you. It's like the fire gets big after that. And that what sends me into a zone where time doesn't exist. Sometimes I don't even feel my own body. Like it's something else, like the spirit, you feel the spirit creating. It's beyond physical now. And that's how I get into a zone, just continuous. Like if I paint for a week, I'm in a whole nother dimension. Like every day of that week, if I paint, I'm in a whole nother zone. Like nothing else exists but whatever I'm pushing out there on the canvas, whatever I'm pushing out. You know? So it's beyond physical, but that's how I get in a zone, continuous creating. And then I'll just black out somewhere.
And then let's say you start a piece of artwork. You know, you start it, and then do you go to sleep and then come back the next day and work on it again?
Yeah, sometimes I take a pause. Yeah,
take a pause.
Yeah, you take a pause because you might come to a point where you start painting and then you feel like something just you can't put something down. There's something in your mind.
You know how writers get writer's block. You guys get that as well as artists.
No, I used to have that because I write also, but I used to have it as a writer. But it's not a block. It's more like I want to put something, but it has to be the correct. It's not like I don't have anything to put. Right. Like I might want to put red in this space. But I say, you know what? The red doesn't go with the purple. How the purple is situated. So now I have to think about it. So instead of forcing it and breaking my brain over it, I pause. I say, you know what? I'll shut it down for the night. When I come back tomorrow, I have a fresher look at it. Right. You know, so it's not for me, speaking for me, it's not that I don't know I'm having a problem. It's just what complements the next and how I see it in my mind. Right. Because how you see it in your mind, I think that's a hard transition for a lot of creatives, having it in your mind and the transition of putting that onto a canvas. Because in your mind, you can do anything. Right. It's making that physical. You could do anything, almost anything physically too, but once you clear that path of transition from the mind to the canvas, you're good. Then you're just playing around with stuff now because you have a full understanding. Yeah.
How do you price your work?
That's that's before I used to think like, let me price it where's in people's budget, and that's a thin line because you're thinking of pricing in people's budget, but you don't want to underprice it. Yeah. But how can you? It's a lot. Like, how can you really price it? It's like, how can you put a physical value on this? Yeah. Because this is coming from you. No money is worth your spirit. So
I thought maybe because the bigger the piece, the more money it is.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. But it's how much of a big money that you sell it for, and how much is on the piece. If I create a large piece, and I'm using tubes of ink, like I have to sell that at a high price, right? But like I said before, I used to think do it within people's budget, but now it's that, but it's a lower percentage of that thinking, and more that in order to people to value, like I was speaking earlier, to value and respect, you have to set the price. How you come up with a price, size, and like I said, how much ink you put down. And for me, it's just, this piece looks like $200, and I leave it at that. Yeah. Whether people like it or not, or this might be $5,000. Yeah, and you leave it at. It's a feeling for me. Once it's done, I look at it, and it's a feeling. I know what I put into it. Yeah, and that's a percentage of how I come up with a price, but it's more of this feels like $300. Like I had to develop a feeling because it's like, how can you really price it? You put in too much time and too much to even put a physical value on that, but. You got to understand the world you live in. You want to make a career out of it, and you want people to respect it. You definitely want people to respect your creativity. So, you have to figure out a way, and that's how I figured it out, is whatever I feel, I go with it.
Right. Yeah. Has there ever been a time where you had a piece of painting, and someone wanted to buy it, but then someone else came and bought the piece? Let's say you had it at $300. Yeah. So this person said, I'm gonna buy it. You know how people talk. I'm gonna buy it. And it took a while. They didn't come back to buy it. Someone else bought it, but someone says, I only have $250 right now. You let it for $250. But then the other person came back later with the $300 and they say, listen, I had it.
You know what? You can't kick yourself for that because, like you said, people love to talk. Oh yeah, I buy it. I get it.
Exactly.
And then a day or two, you don't hear from them. So it's like, all right, well. I let it go, and if I down price it from the original price, that's a feeling also. Like, you know what?
Right.
I feel it's okay to drop it at this price.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do it if it feels right to me. I'll do it, but I don't kick myself over the initial person because people flake.
Yeah.
Especially happens to artists. Yeah. Just so y'all have my money ready next week, and then next week turns into next month, and now you have this painting sitting around. You're trying to hold it for them.
Yeah.
You know, from other people buying it. So I mean, I try to give people a time limit. That's hard too. But if you say today you're gonna buy it, and 2-3 weeks go by,
yeah,
I'll contact you. Like, you still want this, and if you still playing around,
right,
I'll let it go to somebody else.
Do you take special? You take
yes,
special orders from people as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All
yeah.
right. I thought you just whatever you
have.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, if you have something in mind that you want to be creative. Yeah, I can do that definitely.
Okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
in the show. Who influenced you growing up?
All right. I didn't have a person because when I was growing up, I really didn't know of any. Like, I knew of artists, of course, white artists, but I didn't know of any black artists, anyone that I could connect with. So growing up, it was the Egyptian hieroglyphics on the walls.
Wow.
Yeah. So seeing that inspired me because I didn't have a specific person. So a lot of Egyptian culture back in the dynastic eras inspired me as I was growing up. So off of that gave me inspiration. I didn't have any artists in the family, none that I knew of.
Right.
So there wasn't anyone, and in school they weren't really pushing that heavy. So definitely Egypt, the Egyptian culture back then with the kings and the queens. And then as I grew up, I found out about Basquiat. Yeah, Jean-Michel Basquiat. So that was definitely an inspiration. Although I found out about him when I was in my early 20s, years later. So but mostly Egypt, and then later on Basquiat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
So do you critique your own work?
Of recently, all right. When it's done, no. When it's done, it's like I don't even look back at it. Like I said earlier, while I'm doing it, yes. Like I explained earlier with the color, like while I'm doing it, like, am I, how much am I putting into this? Is this right? Is this in the right place? Is this brushstroke correct? Like, I don't do it too much because then you end up hating it, and you would just want to. There's times I just want to throw it in the middle of the street and let a car running over.
Yeah.
Then I pick it back up and feel good because it just feels like it's been rebirthed. But I don't kick myself too much with critique. I do critique it because I'm always stretching in my imagination. My imagination is always reaching. So I'm like, what can I do creatively to add to this? So most of my critiquing that I do comes in the journey of the work. But once it's done, I'm not. Yeah.
And what else talents do you have? Do you say you used to write?
I used to write a lot. Poetry, music. Yeah, and it just came a point. I just wanted to paint more.
You play any instruments?
I used to play the trumpet. I wasn't great at it, but I used to play the trumpet. Yeah,
so you went towards more painting after a while.
Yeah, more painting. And the more I wrote poems and music, the more it drove me to paint because I visualized things. So I would use words to create images in my mind. And the more I use these words to create images in my mind, the more it drew me, it just sent me to painting because now I have to physically paint these things out that I see in my mind. And then I just ended up painting more than anything, and that's what also sent me into photography, the painting. So it's like everything sends you into a next level or a next atmosphere of creativity, and eventually you end up doing all of them. You do all of them, and I put a lot of passion into what I do. I don't half-ass anything I do, so you can do all of them fully.
Right.
There's this misconception that you can only do one thing to your full potential or full.
Yeah, because that's what they say. A jack of all trade, but a master of none.
Yeah, nonsense. Well, because they don't want you to reach that level that you're capable of.
Yeah.
They don't want you to reach that internal power that you have because then you don't need them. Yeah. So they'll tell you anything to break that down. That's nonsense. We're incredible.
Right.
The mind is incredible. You can do anything at any level.
Right.
Period.
Some people just want you just to focus just on one thing. They don't want you dibble-dabble into many things.
That's them. That's their life.
Right.
That's not your life. Yeah.
If you had a chance to choose to start all over again, would you do it differently or you do it the same way you're doing it now? A different path in your career.
A different path?
Yeah.
As an artist or just in life?
It's just in life.
Nah.
No.
I love art too much.
Love art
I
too
am
much.
art. Yeah, yeah. I thought about that before. Like if I was asked that, nah. It's do what else? Like nah.
Yeah. How would you like to be remembered?
As a free spirit, someone who wasn't afraid, a man that was himself, a man of character. That's one of the most important things. How you treat yourself, and how you treat people, and don't step on people's neck to get to where you want to be.
Right.
You know, so that's very important. That's the top most important thing as an artist. Just a free spirit, and inspiring people, because we're all here to inspire each other, but inspiring people in general. Like you don't have to be an artist, or you don't have to be doing art to be inspired by me. You know. So that's very important, yeah, man. Character and inspiration.
Because I asked you that because, you know, they have these stories about Picasso and all these guys, and, you know, they're remembered by doing this and doing that. So that's why I asked you that.
Yeah. But it's also, you know what, it's also how society bigs them up.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? Because like I told you earlier, when I was going to school, there weren't any black artists I knew about.
Right.
They weren't being bigged up. You know, so and that's where community comes in.
Yeah.
You know, we have to not only push up our doctors and lawyers and basketball players, but our artists also, and other genres, our dancers, all of that. You know, so that's important. It's like what we give, the future will find out.
Right.
You know how we value all of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your name, Passions.
Passions Inc.
Passions Inc.
Well, Passions Inc. But Passions is cool. I named myself that obviously because I'm a very passionate person. Like, I put mostly anything I do, I put a lot of passion into it. There's a lot of spiritual vibration, so it's very strong.
Yeah.
So and I know in some African cultures, I'm not sure which one in particular, but they say as you grow up, you give yourself a name of who you are, whatever you feel you are, who you are. You name yourself. So I name myself Passions because I feel I'm full of passion with what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Real quick before we wrap it up, right?
Yes, sir.
Suppose there's an upcoming artist that wants to get into art. What are some advice that you would give that artist?
Number one, see yourself where you want to be.
Right.
Don't doubt yourself. Don't say, well, I can't get that, or I don't have the money, I don't have the resources. See it in your mind. That's number one, and believe it. That's the first thing to making it become a physical reality. You know, surround yourself with other artists. You know, that's very important because we need to push each other. Because the more you surround yourself with artists, the more information you'll gain and the more opportunity you'll have. You know, but self-belief is number one. Pray on it. Believe it, pray on it. Surround yourself with artists and just put yourself out there. You know, but don't let people take advantage of what you do. But put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know, have belief. It's so important. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, don't believe that you don't belong where you're aiming to be. You know, as an artist.
Right.
You can be there. You will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last but not least, how can people get in contact with you? Do you have any social media?
Yeah, I
website,
do.
emails?
Yes, sir. I do. Well, my website is www.passions-inc.com. You can find a lot of photography there, paintings there. My Instagram is passions_inc, INK. That's the most updating I do as far as social media.
Okay.
I also have another Instagram for my dances. It's underscore dance body spirit. Yeah, that is underscore dance dot body dot spirit.
A lot of dots.
Yeah, there's a lot of dots, but it's worth it after you pass the dots. Yeah, and my email for now is archblitz, ARCHBLITZ @yahoo.com.
Okay.
That's how you can contact me. But Instagram is the most updated I do. Yeah.
And you have anything coming up? I remember before the show started, you have something coming up.
Yeah, I have.
You were in the UK not too long ago.
A few months ago. Okay, a few months ago, I had an exhibition in London.
Okay.
Yeah, it was called Melanin is Life. It was very successful. A lot of people came out and supported me. Before that, 2 years before that, I was a part of 2 shows in London and 2 shows in Paris. I was a part of a show in London called Who Taught You, which focused on who taught us to hate ourselves. It was a speech given by Malcolm X. And it's just focused on promoting black people as a whole, black women as a whole, their importance to this planet and existence. And I was also a part of an African exhibition, an African artist, and that was in Paris. And I had a solo photography exhibition in Paris also. So I've shown these are like dreams come true, you know. London and Paris, at least for me as an artist, I've been able to exhibition in those places several times with successful turnout. So I'm happy to say I have a European fan base along with American and Caribbean fan base.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's big, man. That's definitely big.
Yeah, that's why I say you can't tell yourself, oh, I would never make it there, or I don't belong there, because I saw myself being there, and it happened. So yeah, I'm grateful for that.
All right, my brother. We'll keep doing positive things. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And it was a pleasure having you on the show.
It's a pleasure being here. I appreciate this.
All right, that wraps up another episode of Face to Face. Yours truly, Nesta Cann. Take care and God bless.